Cowabunga dudes and dudettes, this is Anthony, aka BatBomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the TMNT Ultimates Casey Jones. Now, taking a look at the front, we can see the figure comes in that standard green slip-covered box with a really cool, awesome sewer image with Casey Jones. And if we remove the slipcover, we can see that the figure is showcased in that standard window box packaging with that green brick-like motif that we normally see. Turning the box around, we can see more of that green brick-like pattern with some really cool graffiti, and if we take a closer look, we see a short bio for Casey Jones. So with the box out of the way, let's go ahead and crack this figure open and let him breathe. Alright guys, now let's take a closer look at this Ultimates Casey Jones. Holy crap, this dude is badass. I freaking love this man. That vintage Casey Jones was just such a great toy, such an iconic piece, such an iconic look with that hockey mask. And man, do you guys remember him from the original cartoon? He was a nutbag, like for real. I went back and watched some of those episodes, like he was low-key kind of scary. So I don't know what we saw in him, but we thought he was really cool, dude. And I've seen this update of that classic toy is so awesome. I love what they did here. Again, the mask looks great. I love how they do that. Again, very vintage, just like that old toy. I love the blue in the hair. That totally makes sense. You can see the red straps kind of going back. That's holding on the mask. The hair itself looks really good. He's got a little hoodie back there with that ridiculously torn shirt and that shoulder pad looking awesome. Of course, he's wearing a little crop top because he wants to show off his abs. Because why not? If I had abs like that, I'd be showing them off constantly. I would totally rock a crop top. You know, that's on record. So the gloves look really good too. The skin looks really nice. You can see how it's almost slightly sculpted to look like he has hair on there. I'm glad they didn't paint that, but the sculpting of that looks really good too. You can kind of see it on his belly a little bit too, where he would have like some hair. So I like how they do that. The wrap, on the other hand, has a little bit of a wash on there. I think that's really cool too. The pants look really good. He's just rocking sweatpants. Literally all he is. You can see where they're torn there. And his ridiculously neon green shoes, which I always thought was funny. They're actually two-tone green right here with the white laces. That's really cool too. And I love how the what do you call it? The sole? Is that what it's called? The sole of the shoes? I don't know. Is that supposed to be like a turtle shell? I'm not really sure, but it looks really cool too. So I dig this, man. So yeah, I love how this came out. Again, so vintagey, you know what I mean? And I actually have the vintage Casey Jones right here. So I'm going to bring him in and you can see the difference like that. Really love this old school toy. Again, those crazy neon minty green shoes are awesome. The crop top was always so funny to me. The blue in the hair. I'm so glad they updated the mask here because those eyes were so huge. But this looks great, man. So love seeing these two side by side. And again, Super7 has just been killing it with these updates of these awesome vintage toys. I think they did a great job with Casey Jones. So now moving on to accessories here, he does get all kinds of interchangeable hands. You get more like open, loose gripping hands. You got more tight gripping hands. You know, loose gripping hands for both sides since they are differentiated. We got things like closed fisted hands, pretty much everything you're going to need for this figure, and they all work out really good. His main accessory for me is going to be his golf bag right here, his harness, holster, whatever you want to call it, but it's initially just a golf club bag, which I think is great. And this sculpt looks really good. I love the paint. All the little buckles and zippers are all painted silver. I love the two-tone of that turquoise or teal looking really good too. What I will say though, on the vintage figure, it had this more greener hue, where this one leads more to the blue. I wish it was more this particular color. That's a nitpick, but that's just me. I always like this more turquoise green than more of this like teal blue. So I wish it was a little more like that color tone, but still this looks really good. I love how this came out, man. So I'm gonna show you guys something. Just be very careful. My shoulder pad right here, came off, Now, is it a big issue? I can see why it could be a big issue, but luckily, the way it fits, it's not coming off, you know what I mean? And it's kind of my fault. I was articulating this guy to see if this thing moved out of the way, and I pushed the arm a little too much up, and it started tearing the glue on there, so that's my fault. So, how this is going to work, you're just going to kind of just pull this over, and then just kind of like tuck it over the hair. The strap right here does have a little bit of give, so you can pull it over like that, and pull it over there again. I think it's more my fault. You can glue this back on if you needed, but like I said, it sticks in there and it holds in there just fine. It's not coming off, you know what I mean? Even if the glue tore, you see it's not falling off. So if it was just dangling and falling off constantly, I'd be complaining about it more. But again, it's my fault. I think I'm the one that did it, and again, it's not falling off, so it's not a big deal to me. So that holds on there very nicely, and you can see how that kind of just fits like that. So that works out really, really good. All right, now moving on to all his extra goodies that we get here. We get little hockey pucks, which I think is really cool too. You got a standing one right there, and you got these ones like wrapped in like tape. Those are pretty cool too. So what I like to do, I'm just gonna drop those in his little bag first, like so. And then we also, of course, do get his baseball bats right here. This one is the most iconic to me because it's the one's like shredded and it came to a point, just like the vintage toy. The vintage toy had that one too, so I think it's really cool too. They got a little wash in there, and the wrapping is all painted. I love that. This one's a more complete bat. This one's kind of like semi-damaged, so you got the different like sequences. You got a complete bat right here, semi-damaged. You can see even the butt of the bat is right there, is a little off, and this is just like completely shredded. So this one totally rocks. Jose Canseco bat. Tell me you didn't pay money for this. So I love these, dude. These are great. And you can get all of these, put them in his little baggie right here, like so. You can fit them in there nice and tight. Those all work really good. You, of course, also get his golf club, again, just like the vintage toy. Love how the silver had the wrap around it, all that looking really good. This one I like to put upside down, and you gotta kind of maneuver everything around in there so it all fits in there, and that holds in there nice and tight. You can see once you have everything in there, it's not going to be coming out all that easy, so I do love that. And then the last accessory is going to be his hockey stick. I believe this is a goalie stick. The bigger ones like this tend to be goalie sticks, right? I could be wrong. I don't really know hockey all that much, but I love how this works. The wrapping all around it look really good. I love how there's little pieces sticking out of the wrapping. I think that's really cool too. So this came out actually really, really warped in the box, so I had to flatten it. And how I tend to flatten things like this, I usually do it overnight. I'll actually put some books, I'll put this on a table and then put some heavy books on it overnight and flatten it. And so this is actually way better than what it was. It was like this when it came out of the box, but now it's like this, so that's actually a lot better. So that works out really good. But what I also love is how we did this. Now, all these figures have been coming with, like, well, not all of them, but most of them become with, like, these racks that have, like, the weapons on there unpainted. So this is more like the vintage toy, where they're just cast in this one color. I love this. I've been tempted to tear this one apart, even though I don't really do that with any others, but I just love the solid colors of his weapons. They were so unique to me. So you got his stick, his hockey stick, the putter or the golf club, the pucks, and the baseball bats all right there. But what I love is how they put it on like a street hockey goal. That's cool. You can see even like the netting is kind of like torn, so you can actually just stand this up like that as like a street hockey thing. So if you want to take all this stuff off and use that as a slight dio, him playing hockey, that's really cool, dude. I think that is super genius how they did that. So I think I'm just going to display it just like that, side by side. That is completely smart to me, and I think they did a great job with that. So now let's talk articulation here. So the head is on a ball joint, rolls around a tiny bit. You're mostly just going to get left and right, up and down a very little. Arms can go full 360 on this side. It is going to be hindered because of that shoulder pad. Again, just be careful with this. But they can go up and out that far, as well as rotation at the bicep. We got a single bend at the elbow, bends at 90, so that's pretty decent. Wish it was double, but that works out okay for me. Rotation at the wrist, as well as a hinge at the wrist. This guy seems to be on a ball peg at the waist right there, but my god, mine's so tight. I probably should heat it up, but I feel if I twist it too much, it's gonna snap. So I just want to be very careful with that. So just be very careful with that torso there. Always heat up your figs, you know what I mean? It's just a kind of a rule of thumb now with these days with the types of plastics that are being used for action figures these days. So just be very careful. But it looks like you're mostly just going to get a left and right out of that, not a whole lot more. Legs can go up at the hip right about that much, back about that far, splits out very nicely, rotation in the upper thigh. We get a single bend at the knee as well as a rotation at the knee right there. Ankles go up, down, rotate in a decent ankle rocker. So overall, I do wish the articulation, was a little bit better. But dude, there's no denying this guy still looks badass, man. I have been loving this dude. I think he just looks so cool. Again, that vintage toy was just iconic. One of the coolest action figures ever, I think, you know what I mean? And then having this updated version from Super7, I think just looks so dope on the shelf. Really happy with how this turned out, man. So again, I think the articulation could be a little bit better, but the figure itself still stands out on the shelf as looking like something very special. So for a quick size comparison, here he is standing next to a Marvel Legends Deadpool and Mafex Batman figure. Also for comparison, here he is standing next to the vintage Casey Jones from Playmates. And for even more comparison, here he is standing next to Donatello, Muckman, and Mondo Gecko from this wave that I've already previously reviewed. And just for fun, here he is with little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of the Ultimates Casey Jones. Now man, this is an amazing update for an already classic action figure, and man, I loved that vintage toy, and this Ultimates Casey Jones is pretty rad. Enjoying the updated articulation, the paint apps look so cool and so clean. I even love the fact that they've included the vintage colored weapons. I think that's awesome. This might be the first time that I might actually take those off the little tree. I normally don't like to do that, but man, those vintage colored weapons just scream to me, and I love the way they look. So I don't know, I do love the painted ones. They look great. I love the fact that the hair has that blue still, which was so iconic. I mean, this is just a fun piece, man. Casey Jones is such a great character. In any action figure, I'm always happy to get a new one, and I think Super7 did an amazing job. He's not perfect. He does have a little bit of awkward stance with his ankles. I wish those were a little better, but still, he's a beautiful and gorgeous action figure, and definitely a must-get. So be excellent to each other, and stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.